Happy St. Patrick's Day. Hi, today we cook a corned beef in an Instant Pot, trying to figure out how much time it takes to cook it and how much time we would save compared to just boiling in water. Today I'm going to use an Instant Pot to cook a corned beef brisket. This is the point cut. Comes with a seasoning packet. This brisket, according to the instructions, you simmer for an hour and a half, hour and a half to get to 160. And with an Instant Pot or a pressure cooker, I usually try to cut that time in half. So I'll cook this 45 minutes. Okay, to prep this, I'm going to take this out of the bag, rinse it, and then just put it in the Instant Pot. Here's the corned beef. I rinsed off the juices from the packet. I'm going to put the fat side down. I don't know, I'm just winging it. And this one came with a bonus pack of spice mixes, but I usually just use one. So the thing is, I'm just going to open up the spice mix, this pickling spice, and pour it in. Then I'll add water, just enough to cover the brisket, not too much. So this is 4 cups of water. Oh, that seemed to work well. And I'll just cover and cook. The idea is just to keep it simple and not to overcomplicate it. You could add, some people would add garlic and onions, and I've done that in the past. But right now, I'm just keeping it simple, back to basics, and see how it turns out. And then once I am familiar with how it cooks in an Instant Pot, then I modify the recipe accordingly. So put the lid on, switch it to sealing, and I'll turn on the Instant Pot. All right, I'll set it for pressure 35, that's an hour, and I'll just decrease it to 45 and let it start automatically. 45 minutes, high pressure, pressure cooker. So it should kick on and be back after roughly an hour. The corned beef is cooking. I'm prepping the vegetables. So here's a cabbage. It's pretty simple. Just quarter it, or you cut it into eighths. So cut it in half. I leave the core in. Then I'll cut it into 6. So I eyeball it and just cut it at an angle, and cut it at another angle since this is a kind of a small cabbage. So if you look at it this way, there, this one I could probably, so this one I cut into 4ths and cut straight down. So instead of potatoes, I often use radishes or chayote, also called mirliton. And when I was growing up, we called these coyotes just because it sounded like chayote. And the ones I remember eating when I was young had spikes on them and you had to peel them. These you don't have to, but I think I'll peel them just the same. Just cut in half. There's a seed in the center that is edible, but I usually take it out. So this one's probably, and if there's any discoloration, I just trim it off around the edges. Has a cucumber-like flavor, a little sweet, almost like a squash or zucchini. Trim out the discolored bits. And I like to peel with my trusty potato peeler. Cut off the stem end a little bit. Then I just do coarse cubes. Another item I like to use is radishes and cook them like potatoes also. I pulled off the greens on them and I just trim the root end and the stem end. In terms of cooking the cabbage, and if you do potatoes or what other vegetables you like, you could use the broth from the corned beef, which some people like, and sometimes I like a cleaner flavor and just boil the vegetables separately so that they have a cleaner natural taste and they don't pick up the saltiness from the corned beef brisket. So that's a personal preference, but since I'm using a pressure cooker today, I'm going to use the Instant Pot to cook the vegetables just to see how long it will take and how it turns out. Here are the vegetables ready to go. 30 more minutes to cook. Radishes, cabbage, and chayote or mirliton. Corned beef has been in the Instant Pot for the full cooking time plus 16 minutes on rest. On warm, so now I'm gonna unseal it. Okay, the little bulb dropped. That means the pressure is released. I'm gonna open it up. Okay, here's how it looks after 45 minutes of cooking and 15 minutes on rest mode or warm mode. So I'm going to take it out. One thing I'm noticing, it's not fall apart tender like it usually is after boiling. Let's pull out the thermometer and measure how hot it is in the center. According to the instructions, we want 160. So 45 minutes, I'm at 150. So next I'll add the veggies to the broth and thinking I'll cook 5 minutes under high pressure. Alright, the vegetables just went off on the Instant Pot. I'm going to release the pressure and take the veggies out. Oh, the button just dropped. I'm going to open it up slowly. Okay, looks like the cabbage is cooked and soft. I'll just put it in. Pick it up, put it into a bowl. After I've taken the meat out of the Instant Pot, I loosely covered with foil to try to keep it warm. And now I'll just slice and serve. So I did not trim the fat when the meat was raw. It makes it difficult, but when it's cooked, it's easier to slice the fat off. Also, with the corned beef, the grain is, you could see the grain running this way, and you want to cut against the grain, meaning that you want to cut perpendicular to the grain. So when you cut slices, it's easier to chew, because you want to cut this way, you'll have long chewy slices. Now, thickness of slices is up to you. You could do thin slices, or you could do hearty, thicker slices. And if you have a lot of people, you could do really thin slices. It looks like the grain is starting to shift around. These are the kid slices. Here's the plated corned beef with cabbage, mirliton, otherwise known as chayote, and cooked red radish. Alright, here's the finished dish. I'll try the red radish first. Soft, tender, reminds me a little of a turnip, which a radish is. Here's the chayote. It's also soft, fork tender. A little sweet, tastes a little like zucchini. Cabbage is nice and soft. I didn't show it, but I did add a little butter to the vegetables at the end after I took it out. Very moist, tender, and cooking it in the corned beef juice, you could taste some beefiness in the cabbage. Here's a little kid slice of corned beef.